It's Selena Garrett, and this is another video on converting your property to a midterm rental. And right now we're going to look at where to find tenants. So let me go ahead and stop my video so we can switch to my presentation. Okay, hopefully you can see my presentation at this time. Okay, where do you find tenants for midterm rentals? I will be honest, in my personal experience, the largest number of tenants I get come from Airbnb website. You will not believe how popular Airbnb website is. I have not tried Verbio. I know that it's a similar to Airbnb website, but I have not tried them, so I cannot speak to them. But 95% of my tenants actually come from Airbnb website, including tenants who are staying for several months. Now, what I noticed is that on Airbnb, very often I get a 1 to 2 week stay request, and then the same tenants who did a shorter term stay actually ask about the availability of the room on a longer term basis, because after their training or after their introduction to DFW, they decided to stay in the area and now they're looking for a place to live. So Airbnb and Verbio will be your number one source for both in a hybrid method and a non-hybrid method. I'm constantly receiving requests for 6 to 9 month stays through Airbnb website. Now, in my opinion, Airbnb is costing quite a little bit of money. They're charging the tenant extra fees. They're charging you extra fees. So my recommendation is encourage the tenants to come for a 1 month stay to check out your property and then see if you can get off Airbnb and quickly get them into full term or longer term stay outside of Airbnb, and it will be less costly both to you and to your tenant. However, once you're done with Airbnb, Airbnb no longer covering you through their insurance coverage. So if they come from Airbnb and Verbio, you have insurance coverage there. And if you encourage them to stay for longer outside of Airbnb, just remember that you now have to arrange your own insurance. Furnished Finder. So Furnished Finder is a really good place for people who are looking for furnished rooms and furnished homes to connect with potential landlords. Now, thing that I like about Furnished Finder is that number one, it is such a industry staple that everybody looks there. And number two, a lot of relocation specialists and people who work for insurance companies use Furnished Finder to find potential landlords. What I do not like about Furnished Finder is that up until even right now, after several months of operations, I have not located one single tenant for Furnished Finder. There were a lot of chit chat and a lot of questions on Furnished Finder, but no actual bookings came from Furnished Finder. And also Furnished Finder is charging you a fee. And that fee is, I believe, like $100 per year to run your ad. Social media. Social media is a place where I would not put a lot of my hopes on, but I did get quite a few interesting inquiries from social media. When I talk about social media, I'm talking about specifically Facebook groups. If you're in Dallas, you can go to Facebook, use their search function to look for groups. Once you're in groups, quickly type in rooms Dallas, rooms DFW, and you will be able to see 4 or 5 different Facebook groups specifically devoted to furnished rooms. And this is where you can post your ad, and this is where you can find tenants. So to me, that is a very open space, completely free to use, but extremely time consuming, because if you are on Facebook, just like on any other social media, you have to go through hundreds of, or dozens of posts before you see anything even slightly related to what you need. So social media is a area where I would say do it if you have a lot of time to do it. But if you need to get quicker results, just post it on Airbnb. Personal outreach. And personal outreach really works if you're targeting a specific population. So for example, if you are targeting college students, you could post, typically college campuses have advertisement boards where you can post an advertisement for your rooms or for your house. If you're targeting medical professionals, you might want to do outreach to medical recruiters. If you're targeting IT and mobile professionals, you might want to do an outreach to IT recruiters in your area. If you're looking to accommodate lawyers, you might to connect with large lawyer companies or legal companies in your area. If you're looking to accommodate artists or sports or political workers, you know what to do in that case. Basically, and also if you're targeting elderly, you might contact the hospitals in your area and say, if you have elderly people who need room time to recover, same thing for surgical patients and their families. You can contact the nearby hospitals and nurses and people on their staff who handle recovery and say, if you have patients whose families need to stay in the area, here's my contact information, let them know. So basically, personal outreach is good in cases where you have a specific population that you're targeting. Governmental programs. So in some cases, and that's a whole different story, and you might need to do additional research on what's available in your area. Different types of tenants receive subsidies from the government for their housing, and you can use those subsidies to accommodate those tenants. Now, that's a whole different story, and I'm not going to go into too much. And I would say if you're interested in that subject, go ahead and do your research right now, and I might do a separate video on that in a little bit later. And then insurance companies, a big use for short midterm rentals is going to be when people get displaced from their homes after a fire or a flood or some kind of other emergency in their home, and their insurance have to place them in accommodation for several months. So those are really high paying tenants right there, but they come with their own challenges and delays, and the way that the insurances pay off are slightly different, et cetera, et cetera. But this is in general just an overview of how you're going to find tenants. In my personal opinion, if your house looks anyway presentable, post it on Airbnb and make your settings like minimum stays 30 days and start getting bookings from Airbnb before you start investing your time researching Furnished Finder, social media, or doing personal outreach. And you're probably going to get your first tenant before you know it. Alrighty, that is it on that topic. We're going to jump into next topic, which will be called team that you will need to run your midterm rental, and I'm going to go over what I consider to be important members of the team. I will see you in the next video.